I'm so excited to share with you guys my pantry makeover project. We started off with some basic wire racks and they started separating from the wall, and we would lose stuff in the grates, and we had to place certain items just right or they would wobble or fall over. Not very practical, so I decided to take all of the wire racks out and make some nice sturdy custom shelving. I also added these cabinets. So these are basic upper kitchen cabinets from Home Depot. I made a little base out of 2x4s for the cabinets to sit on, and then finished it off with some nice trim. These will be perfect for storing some of our smaller kitchen appliances and other kitchen items that we don't use very often. I also left the corner space open so we can put our recycling bin there and any extra drinks or containers that we have. There's a lot of ways you can customize this design. If you missed it, I posted a video on how I planned and designed my entire pantry project in SketchUp. So I'll share the link to that video in the description below if you're interested in watching that. My next video will be all about organizing the pantry. I'm going to DIY some fun organizers, and I also bought some food storage containers to help us stay organized. So stay tuned for that video. For this project, I will link all the tools that I used in the description below. I'll also share a blog post with all of my pantry dimensions, and I'll do a cost breakdown for this project as well. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this project. This one has been so much fun for me. Let's get right to the video. Okay, so I drew out the plan for the pantry with all the dimensions. You can see I'm gonna do a 2x4 base here, so that'll be 3.5 inches. The cabinets are 30 inches tall, and then each of my shelves are 2 1/8 inch. All the spacing in between the shelves are 13.5 inches. We have 8-foot ceilings, and then you can see the space left here will be 26 inches. So we wanted to make this bottom shelf a little bit deeper. This will be 15 inches, and then all of these other shelves will be 12 inches deep. So I got the measurement for the top of every shelf. Then I marked out the measurements on my wall with blue tape so that I could visualize the spacing of my shelves. I also taped out the cabinets on the ground just to see how much space they would take up. And then the corner here we can use for storing drinks or the recycling bin, whatever we decide. So this wall is 56 inches and this wall is also 56 inches. So I'm gonna use the same exact plan, but I'll flip it around so the cabinet is on the left side there. So instead of trying to salvage the trim, I'm going to take all of the trim out so that I can put my base tight against the wall, the back wall, and the side wall. And then once the cabinets are installed, then I can go in and replace the trim so everything is even and matches up. To remove the baseboard, take a utility knife and score a line in the caulk, and then pry the trim away from your wall. I used a hammer, but a pry bar would work better. For my base, I used treated 2x4s and 3.5 inch construction screws. Once your base is constructed, take a level to make sure that your base is level. If it's not level, use some shims to prop it up and make it level. Now I'm taking a stud finder and marking out my studs so that I can screw the base right into studs in the wall so it's nice and sturdy. I mentioned before that I got these basic upper kitchen cabinets from Home Depot. They're 30 inches wide by 30 inches tall and 12 inches deep. I wanted my countertop to be 15 inches deep though, so I had to pull the cabinet away from the wall. So there's a little gap in the back, and I just cut some extra blocking out of 2x4s and then screwed my cabinet into the blocking into a stud in the wall so that it was nice and secure. I could have made my own custom cabinet so that I would utilize all of the space, but this just saved me money and time. I'm going to show you how I plan to do the framing for the shelves. So that'll go along the back wall. This one will go along that back wall, and then I've got this one here, and this one will go flush, and then this one will go here. So that's the plan for supporting the shelves. These back ones will go into studs in the wall. Same thing with the side ones. We'll have another 2x2 here, and then we'll have some 2x2s supporting the middle. For the center 2x2s, I'm going to drill some pocket holes so I can drill the 2x2 into the other one. Same thing with these, so I can drill the 2x2 into the other 2x2. I used 2" by 2" lumber for all of my framing pieces. I laid everything out in the garage and then marked out where I wanted all my pocket holes to be. Then I took my Kreg jig and drilled all of my pocket holes. For all of the frame pieces against the wall, I made sure to use longer 3.5" screws and screwed them into studs in the wall. You want to make sure that these pieces are extra secure. For my smaller frame pieces, I used 2.5" or 2" pocket hole screws. Especially for this first shelf, make sure it's nice and level because you're going to be taking your measurement for all of your next shelves off of this one. So make sure this is nice and level before you move on to the next one. Now, I wish I could have just constructed all of the framing pieces in the garage and then brought the whole frame inside and installed it, but with how tight this space is, I wasn't able to do that, so I just have to piece in all of the frame pieces. Okay, quick pantry update. I cut all of the top of my shelves. These are 1/2-inch plywood. They're not installed yet. I just wanted to dry fit all of them before I secured them. I did the top 3 shelves just in a straight cut, and then my bottom countertop I did a nicer 45-degree cut. It's not perfect, but I can just fill it in with some wood filler. The next step for me now is to place some 1/8-inch hardboard. So I'm going to use this hardboard underneath all of my shelves so you can't see any of that ugly framing. After the hardboard, then I can measure my trim to go over top of all this wood. So you won't be able to see any of that wood. It'll look like a nice chunky floating shelf. And I'm also going to use the hardboard for the ends of my cabinets. It's kind of hard to see, but since I pulled the cabinet away from the wall, there's a little gap behind there, but I'll put the 1/8-inch hardboard on the side so that it'll look nice and seamless and you won't see any gaps. To secure my 1/8-inch hardboard, I'm using 1-inch brad nails and wood glue. Make sure to nail in your hardboard where all of your 2x2 frame pieces are. I cut all of my hardboard pieces down on my table saw. I bought 1x3 select pine board for my trim pieces and then just ripped them down on my table saw to 2 1/8 inch to fit the width of my shelves. I did a 45-degree miter cut on one end of each of my trim pieces so they fit together in a perfect 90-degree angle. So I bought 1/2-inch sand plywood from Home Depot, and it's spelled S-A-N-D-E. To get it nice and smooth, I started with 80 grit sandpaper and then did 120 grit and ended with a 220 grit sandpaper. So I made sure to dry fit my plywood and my trim pieces first to make sure that everything fit, and then I took them out to my garage to sand down so that I didn't make a huge mess in my pantry and kitchen. To install my plywood and trim pieces, I used 1.5-inch brad nails and wood glue. Okay, so all of the shelves are in. I installed the trim also. So all of the big stuff is pretty much finished. I just have to do all the final touches, which is still gonna take me a little bit of time. I'm going to fill all of the holes in the drywall. So I have this mesh tape that I put over the holes, and then I'll use this spackling. I also have this plastic wood filler that I'm gonna use to fill all the little nail holes and any cracks in the wood. I'll also fill that seam with the wood filler and any other gaps in the trim and the shelf. I'm also going to go in and fill all of the little nail holes that I made with my brad nailer. Everything that you see right here has been my progress within 2 days. So I'm going on day 3 today. Hopefully I can get all the final details finished. After I fill all the holes, I can do the caulking and then I can paint. So the top 3 shelves are going to be painted white, the cabinets are going to be painted white, and then this bottom countertop will be stained a darker color. And I'm really excited to see how that turns out. After everything is painted, I can install the base trim and the cabinet hardware, and that'll be it. After patching the holes in my drywall, I took a little block sander to knock down any high spots. Then I took this wall texture and adjusted it to the medium spray and sprayed all of the patches so that they have a nice texture to match the rest of my walls. After the wood filler was dried, I took my block sander again and sanded down any high spots. First, I wiped down the entire pantry to get rid of all the dust. Then I took some blue painter's tape and taped all around my shelves and cabinets, leaving an 1/8 inch gap for caulking all of the seams. Now, if you're going to use this hack for caulking your seams, make sure to rip the tape off as soon as you're done caulking before it dries, or else you're going to mess up your perfect seams. I made this mistake and waited for the caulk to dry and then ripped off the tape, and it messed everything up, so I had to go back and redo it. I bought 3 1/4 inch base trim for my pantry and it wasn't quite tall enough, so I also had to install some shoe trim at the very bottom. After I installed the trim, I made sure to fill all the little nail holes and then sand that down once it dried. And then I used some caulk to fill all the seams to make everything look nice and seamless. Then I painted my trim the same color as my cabinets. Last, I finished off the countertop with 3 coats of polyurethane. Be sure to look out for my next video where I'll be organizing the entire pantry and putting all of our food back. Thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe.